Hey guys, Raven here. Today's video is going to be the first entry in a new series. It is going to be called the Life of series. It's basically anime history but for gaming.
I hate this fucking game.
Now, the first episode is going to be about Galea or Meyneth from Xenoblade 1 and 2. So let's start this with Earth 20XX Radamanthus. Galea was hired into Aodos at some point after it was tasked to make the Trinity Core processors to protect the Zohar. It's never stated whether or not she worked on the project with Klaus, but she has intimate knowledge of the Zohar and the Trinity Core processors. If you want more information, watch my Is Mithra in Meyneth video to see more about the Trinity. She worked directly with Klaus on the night of the Severite attacks. She saw how dire the situation was and how it pushed Klaus to use the Zohar. Galea tried to stop Klaus from triggering a space-time creation event since it was dangerous and unfounded. Klaus threw her on the ground or just pushed her. The detail is somewhat different between Alvis's vision of the past via Zanza's memory or Klaus's vision of the past in Xenoblade 2. Once Klaus activated the Zohar to make a new universe, portals opened up, sucking matter and other things into different universes. Klaus got split into two beings, along with Galea. Now, Galea is a bit more of an overt implication, which, if you want the reason why, watch until the end of the video. Now we move on to the next section, the events of Bionis vs. Mechanis. Galea and Klaus popped into a new universe, one that is referred to as the Shackled Universe. It is basically an infinite ocean. Alvis or Antos birthed Klaus and Galea as two giant mechs, one made from earth and organic matter named Bionis, which is Klaus, now named Zanza. The other is metallic and an inorganic robot called Mechanis, which is Galea, now named Meyneth. Meyneth was peaceful with Zanza until one day he attacked Mechanis, thus starting the war between the two titans. They both critically wounded each other, causing Zanza to leave his soul in a sword in hopes of finding the perfect vessel with the help of his trusty Trinity. If you want, I can make a Klaus lore video like this in the future. Meyneth went into a deep slumber somewhere within Mechanis. An unknown amount of time later, a machina named Vinea found her soul. This led her to plant it into a faced mechon named Nemesis, which will happen later. Egil, a survivor of the Bionis vs. Mechanis war, and Vinea's brother vowed to destroy Zanza due to all the circumstances surrounding Meyneth, the attack on Mechanis with Atelethia, and the possession of his great friend, the giant Archelaus. Thus, Egil, without mercy, sends Mechon to eradicate all life on Bionis so Zanza cannot be reborn. This marks the start of Xenoblade 1's story. The war at Sword Valley happens. Dumban and Dixon single-handedly won the war for everyone, but in the process, Dumban got fried by Zanza's Monado. I don't want to go too much more into depth on the Monado of Zanza or Zanza himself, since I might cover it later. After the war, a while has passed. The Mechon out of nowhere attack Colony 9 as Shulk, Fiora, and Rhine are getting ether cylinders. They rush back to Colony 9. Dumban is able to grab the Monado as him, Rhine, and Shulk stay in a group. Fiora is sent to get help. Later, Fiora is killed by Metalface. Her body gets taken back to the Mechanis where she's implanted as the host of Meyneth. This starts in motion the catalyst of Zanza's return. Shulk and his companions head towards Prison Island. Meyneth and a small unit are sent to Prison Island as Melia's father calls upon the giant Zanza as possessing. Zanza unlocks Monado 2 for Shulk, then appears to be killed by Metalface. Nemesis or Meyneth attempts to speak to Zanza telepathically, but that gets thwarted by Shulk, who attacks her. She also takes a few blows meant for Metalface, exposing Fiora's body as the conduit for this current Meyneth. Now, I will not be recapping everything Fiora does, as Fiora and Meyneth are not one and the same, and Fiora does not really matter in the grand scheme of things to Meyneth. So with that out of the way, let's continue. Metalface and the team retreats for now. A bit later, when Shulk and his group make it to Valak Mountain, Meyneth comes alone to talk to Shulk, but gets knocked out by Metalface, who forces her to return to Galahad's fortress. When Shulk and his group reached Galahad, Egil forced Meyneth to attack the group, defeating them. This is when Meyneth hears the cries from Fiora to stop hurting Shulk and everyone else, but to instead attack Egil. Meyneth eventually breaks free from Egil's mind power control over the Mechon, using her Monado to do so. This caused part of the fortress to fall, sending the faced units and Shulk's group plummeting down to the sea below. This allows Fiora to take control again. Now, throughout Xenoblade, Meyneth interferes every once in a while to save the day. I'd like to skip those moments because most of them aren't of the utmost importance to her history. I hope you guys can understand that because it makes it easier for me to make these videos. I'm one person doing all this, so yeah, that's why it's hard for me to do it. So let's continue on. Shulk and the group are now at Meccana's core fighting Eggle. Shulk almost kills Eggle but stops himself. He'd rather settle this by understanding Eggle's motives and reasonings behind it. Shulk, basically trying to shake Eggle's hand, gets shot out of nowhere by Dixon, which causes Zanza to leave Shulk's body, and nearly at the same time Meyneth leaves Fiora's body with her Monado at the ready. Zanza and Meyneth have a quick fight.
Such a fool.
This is what I wish. This world belongs to you all. Create a world with no need for gods.
Zanza fucking destroys her, ending Meyneth's story in Xenoblade 1. This is where I will describe the possible fate of Galea's original body in the next section. The land of Moritha. So here's where we get into the possibility that Galea gets split into two just like Klaus did. Rex and his crew fight a Goldo boss which drops an item. That item is a keycard to the Radamanthus beanstalk that had Galea's face on it. You may ask, what is a Goldo? It's pretty simple really. Humans who try to replace their brain cells with core crystal technology. That's all they are. It can be assumed that via that infernal Goldo dropping Galea's keycard, at some point after the planet fell into disarray, she tries to replace her brain cells with core crystal technology. Now, that's all I have to offer for this first episode of the Life of series or gaming history. If you learned something interesting, hit the like button and subscribe. Raven out.